Hello, everyone. My name is Conrad. On behalf of CameraStuff, thank you for joining yet another episode of the Limelight, where we jump into the South African photographic industry, should I say, and we find some interesting people to talk to. So tonight we are joined by Hendri Viljoen. He is currently busy with the Afrikaans community and industry as well, shooting celebrities and whatnot. We recently featured him on CameraStuff and thought it would be interesting just to deep dive into his mind and ask him a bunch of questions tonight. So I think before we get started, let me just show you what Hendri is capable of. So he sent us a bunch of photos just to give you a bit of an idea as to what the man is indeed capable of. Exceptionally talented photographer. So I have a bunch of questions to ask him. Now, if you have a bunch of questions to ask, please do drop them in the comment section and we'll tackle them one by one. In the meantime, do introduce yourself in the comment section and we'll do a bit of a shout out from our end. And also, Henri's links have been provided as well. So do check that out in the comment section and the description. So do follow our guest. So this is what his Instagram looks like. As mentioned, deep diving into the Afrikaans celebrity culture and industry. And on top of that, incredibly talented photographer. All right, so I think without further ado, let's bring our guest in, shall we? Let's get our boxes right. Hello, Hendri, how are you doing?
Oh, good in you, man.
Doing perfectly well. Tell me, what did you get up to today?
I was actually at the Gillespie's working on some content for Rian Bernardi's launch of his new album. Yeah, so I was there the whole day.
We also mentioned before air that you had a bit of a virus going on. And we spoke about how
Yes.
photographers' schedules and whatnot are very different to the outside world and how we just need to, tough it out and, accommodate people. Our
Yeah.
holidays are not necessarily their holidays. And, when they
Yeah.
have time off, it's our busy times.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be home until Monday.
Oh, gosh, yeah. It just never quits as a creative person. You're always busy, eh?
Yeah, I have to be. I have to pay bills.
Yeah, so we have a bunch of questions to ask you, so I think we're just going to jump into it.
Cool.
But before we do that, let me just drop in our chat overlay. So we have a bunch of comments already from
Yeah.
Skedaddle. Hello from Northern Ireland. Sure. So we have people
Yeah.
outside of South Africa tuning in.
Yes.
And also Joan Toy, Sup Hendri, hashtag score.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining, guys. Yeah, so if you are watching, we have a big audience going. So thank you for joining. Yeah, do introduce yourself. And yeah, let's get a bit of a conversation going. So I think to start off with, it's always the question I start off. So how did you get into photography? What inspired you to pick up a camera and to deep dive into the world of photography?
Well, the funny thing is, I'm actually a graphic designer. Ever since school, I knew I wanted to do something creative. I was good in accounting and business management and stuff like that, but I didn't see myself doing that for the rest of my life. So I wanted to do something creative. So I applied for graphic design. I got in, but um, yeah, one of my subjects was photography.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I didn't really see a career in photography because I mean, how many photographers is out there? It's a lot of photographers. So I didn't really look to pursue it. And then yeah, as in my first year, I I did it. I didn't have a camera, so I borrowed one, and my mindset was always, what can I do? That the rest of the class, what can I do differently from the rest of the class? So what I think that's where I started to enjoy photography, actually, because that's where my photo manipulation skills and stuff started. That's how I made photography enjoyable for myself. And as I started doing it more and more, I got better and better. And as I got better, I got noticed. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually at the point where my photography is it's much more. Um, I'm doing that much more than actual graphic design, the posters and that stuff. So I never thought I was going to do photography on a permanent basis.
No, it's interesting. I started off in a similar fashion as well as a freelance graphic designer. I needed photos for my photo manipulation and graphics and whatnot. So I was
Yeah,
outside with a little point and shoot camera taking photos of different textures, tree bark or fences, and
yeah,
eventually that morphed into animals and started doing photo manipulation with animals. And then I needed people, and that is where things just open up.
yes,
Obviously, working with people, getting different poses and scheduling times with them, it just opened up a different segment, and as far as graphic designing was concerned, but it just bled into photography more and
yeah,
more, week on top of week, until it just took over, I suppose. Yeah, so I'm in a very
yeah,
similar boat, and um, yeah, it's very interesting how multidisciplinary people eventually morph into photography, because I don't know
exactly,
from
yeah,
your point of view, but from my point of view, it's exciting working with people as opposed to being behind
exactly,
a computer the whole time. So I don't know if you have a similar experience to that, taking
yeah.
photos of people, but not just people, celebrities as well. That's going to be my
Mm.
second question. How did you get involved with celebrities? That's always so
Wow.
fascinating to me. Like, how do you even approach somebody who's a celebrity?
You know, it's actually a very small world if I think about it,
Mm.
because after my studies, I worked for a company, Etiquette. It was my first company that I worked for a few months, and the company, yeah, I was like, it was my first job. I was actually still busy studying in my fourth year, and then they offered me a job, and I went there, and then the company was in a bit of a rough patch, and it's obviously
Hmm.
first in, first out. But yeah, then I wanted to go to, I wanted to move to Cape Town, and before I started making plans to move to Cape Town, a church, Doxa Deo, approached me. So
Hmm.
they wanted me to, and they made me a very good offer. So I was like, okay, well, let me give it a shot. And I started at Doxa Deo. I think I was there for a year, and most of my friends was also in a church, working in a church at a Living Word, Levende Woord, and they um, eventually got the church to make me a better their church to make me a better offer. So I moved to them because I wanted to work with my friends, and it's like 4 kilos from my house. So that was a way better offer. So I moved to that church, and I was there for like 4 years. Um,
Okay.
but while I was working there, I met Joe Black. Joe Black was in the Joe Black's the guy with the tattoos holding his daughter that's pulling the face. Um, he was in the
Fine.
church. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, he was working. He was in the church band. Um, so we worked together. I was doing the church creatives, and he was in the church band. And actually, I think, yeah, and also Boer Bosch. He was doing stuff with the kids a lot of the time. He and his band, Straatligkinders,
Yeah.
when they were still a big thing. So I met Bauer, and Bauer gave me an opportunity to do his album while I was still busy working. And then I think that's where it started. And then Joe got his first record deal, and he became a very big celebrity artist. And then I never answer random numbers on my phone. I
Hmm.
never pick up random numbers on my phone. I usually check it later on Truecaller who it was.
Yes, yes.
But
Hmm.
this day I thought, yes, I must answer it. I have Joe's old number on my phone, but yeah, this day I
Hmm.
decided, like, I'll answer the phone. And it was him. And he asked
Oh,
me
wow.
that, yeah, he told me the record labeled Gillespie's, they want to ask me something, and would I go see them? Yeah, and I think that's where they offered me a job to start working with all the celebrities. But it was a big process. I'm not gonna lie.
Hmm.
You have to build that trust and everything. It's not like taking photos of normal normal families and stuff like that. It's celebrities. There's a lot of eyes on them, so
Hmm.
there's a lot of trust to be built and everything.
It's always
But
fascinating hearing how things get started and how they flourished and may it go from strength to strength. Yeah, so good luck for the future as well. So always
yeah,
keen on seeing the South African industry flourish and different cultures and whatnot.
yeah.
Yeah, so good on you. Well done. So if you don't mind me
Thank you.
asking, what camera did you have starting out, and what
Well,
do you have now?
well, you won't believe me, but I I used 80D for almost 10 years, even while I was
Hmm.
shooting with the celebrities and stuff. Um, yeah, I used the 80D because I wanted a bit of a hybrid between the video and the photos, and it quickly got old. So I actually recently switched over to Sony this December.
Hmm.
I switched over to Sony the A7 IV. Yeah. So I started shooting with it, and I'm very happy now. And
Yeah, I think
yeah,
on topic we have a question here: Nikon or Canon or Sony, and why?
well, I like Sony because I saw a lot of, I used a lot of my friends played a lot of with the Canon. I'm a big fan of Canon,
Hmm.
but when I started playing around with Sony, I just liked how, uh, especially with a Nikon. I also tried Nikon. Sorry, I'm jumping around a lot.
That's
But
fine.
Nikon had every time I took photos with Sony, there was with Nikon, there was always a yellow, a yellow tone that I couldn't get out of my photos for some reason. No matter what I do with Sony, I just the functionality and everything of it is just way easier and better for me. So um, I don't have a big
Mm.
reason for why I switched over to Sony, but I really like the brand and I like how it felt. And
Mm. When you hold the camera, you just know it like becomes an extension of
yeah,
your hands and your fingers, and it's also very much a ergonomic thing. Where the camera
yeah,
just feels a part of your body, and yeah, people resonate with different brands and different camera types. So it's all about
yes,
what works with for you. So there's not specifically a better brand out there or a better camera.
I
No,
agree.
it
Yeah,
just all depends on what helps in terms of the flow and creativity.
yeah. I always say it's the same as a new phone, a completely
Mhm.
new phone. If you play with that phone for a few weeks, you get used to it. You
Yeah.
know it. The better you know it, the better you'll use it. So yeah, I'm not. It's not a brand thing for me.
That's also an important lesson there to practice, practice, practice until the
Yeah,
the way of
very
using a
important.
camera, the buttons, etc., all become second nature to you. So now you can
Exactly.
focus on a person and
Yeah.
have a conversation with a person. Meanwhile, your fingers and a part of your brain is already operating the camera and setting up the lighting and whatnot. And I think on topic, what lighting do
Yeah.
you use? Are you natural light? Are you strobe, constant light?
Well,
What did you start off with, and what do you have now?
in the beginning, I was very proud of being a natural light photographer. I
Hmm.
actually, my business, everything was set up around natural light photography. But when I entered the industry I'm in at now, I quickly learned how important the lighting actually is, especially for the different kind of needs, for the different kind of styles and everything.
Hmm.
So I have the 8600 Pro.
Hmm.
I, I take it with me everywhere. I don't go anywhere without it. So very big fan of it. And yeah, that's the only light I use. And now sometimes I'll use a secondary normal studio light with an umbrella. So yeah, that's what I'm using at the moment.
So I see a bit of a theme as far as your photos are concerned. For the most part,
Mm,
one or two lights only.
yes.
So yesterday I spoke to a food photographer who will sometimes use 8 lights at a time.
Sure.
So it's definitely the style thing, obviously, but
It's
there's always
definitely a
something
style.
natural, the realism, the nuances that go along with only one light source, especially when shooting outdoors,
Mm,
because we're used to seeing a light, that being the sun. So if you add too
yeah.
many lights to a scene, it looks a bit, a
Yeah.
bit too artificial. So was that the
And that,
deliberate choice, just using a light, or is this a case of traveling light as well?
yes. If if especially when you need in the Afrikaans industry, the bush is like
Hmm.
the the lava veld or the bush is like almost always you're always going to be in the bush somewhere. So the light is like ideal for it. So I can go into a forest. I can I can shoot anywhere. So I'm very very big fan of the light, and also with the photo manipulations. I think there's a lot of people that struggle with photo manipulations just because they don't know how to use the light right, or they just get a lot of pictures from the internet and the lights from the a different angle, or the shadows from a different angle. So that's exactly what when I reference photos, I make sure the light, everything is on the same angle, and this light just is perfect for everything.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. I've seen photos where it's shot outdoors during the nighttime, so you expect a light source, that being the moon. But in studio, they've used like 4 or 5 different lights, and all of this is done in the middle of a bush as well. So it just doesn't feel natural whatsoever. Yeah, so it's something to be mindful of if you're doing photo manipulation. Do you select a background first, or do you take a photo and find a background after? People have different
Photo
processes.
first. Yeah, no, photo first. I use a natural, usually a gray or a white background, and then take the photo, and then we'll do the background, whichever. I do a few options.
Okay.
So
Cool.
yeah, and I used to use stock backgrounds and stuff like that, but lately I've been using Midjourney a lot to generate my backgrounds and create my backgrounds, just to make it my own, So,
Okay, interesting. It's a bit of a hot topic nowadays, that of AI. So obviously integrating AI into your own work, making use of Midjourney. Do you want to give people a bit of a insight there? What is your opinion about AI, generally speaking? Like, where do you see things going in the next 2 to 5 years?
Yeah, no. The thing is with Midjourney, I think, or with AI, I feel like it's the future, because I've heard of new cameras already with built-in AI in it. So so me as a creative, I mean, I work every day creating cover art, and it's very difficult if, say, a celebrity have a certain vision to go take a photo, an actual photo of that. So it's way better for me to create it. We sit together, we discuss what they want, and we kind of create it in Midjourney, and voila, happy client. So for me, it's not. I'm not set on taking every photo myself. So as the portrait's the important part for me. The backgrounds and stuff like that, as long as I get it to work with the subject, I'm happy.
Okay, so on that topic, portrait photography, what to you makes a good portrait?
What makes a good portrait?
Yeah, a good portrait, yes.
I think good lighting, but correct lighting. If you can use the light correctly, it would make a good portrait. I think for me as well is that personal choice as well when it comes to the lighting and the portrait, because I like a bit of harsh shadow in the sides and not even light everywhere. But most of the people like even lighting and stuff like that. I like a bit of dramatic portraits, like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that on your face right now. You're skewed towards the dramatic lights. It's awesome.
You see.
So with the personal touch, allowing a person's personality to shine on an image, that's always a difficult task, especially if you don't know the person whatsoever. So in terms of posing and making people feel comfortable on a day of a photo shoot, do you have any tips for people out there?
Well, I think it's a difficult thing for me, especially when you shoot for the first time. But what I've noticed is if you help the person and you're friendly and you don't get annoyed or any of those things, and you just what I like to do in the beginning is I actually help them with poses. And I've seen a video where they say you're an average photographer if you do it. Then I'm an average photographer, but I like to show them pictures. I work with a lot of male artists as well, and it's difficult for them, but they're not models.
Yeah, the
they don't
posing is not
they
natural
don't
to us at
pose
all.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I think if I have a weak point, it's to, but I'm still learning, and I'm actually getting better with it. But it's I show them pictures of
That makes
poses
sense.
that I like on them, or that I think would work with them, and then I'll guide them from there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's also for me very important. I always tell them that if you're uncomfortable with the pose that I'm showing you, it's going to show on the photo. So make it your own. I just want your body in that angle or stuff like that. So it's I like to use references sometimes, or just to prep them beforehand. But you get a lot of the people that I work with, they've got a lot of experience, so they know already from the bat what to do.
Yeah,
But
that's always good to
usually the
start off with
second or
Oh, yeah,
yes.
continue.
No, so usually the second or the third time they're way more relaxed, and
That's always the case, yeah.
yes,
Yeah, so it's, reference is a good idea just to get a starting point. Yeah, so you can show
yes,
a picture on your smartphone to the
exactly,
person, will get into the pose, but then you can add a
yes,
bit of tweaks to the pose. You
yes,
can ask a
that's
person to look
exactly.
left and right, change the weight on this foot or that foot, and move around with your camera and lighting as well. So one particular pose can generate many images if you just simply move the light or move your
It's exactly
perspective
that.
around. Yeah. So a bit of tweaking here and there, just to get into a flow of things, to get natural poses out of a person. But yeah, it's not a bad idea to show people reference images.
Yeah,
It's often people get a little bit shy or haven't done it before. Yeah. So just as a starting point, just to
yeah,
get the ball rolling, reference images are
yeah,
perfectly fine to use.
yes.
All right. So starting out, what particular challenges did you face and how did you overcome them?
Well, if I think about it, I really didn't have any challenges because I'm actually like go with the flow. It only started when I started working with the celebrities. Then I got way more nervous and stressed, and like I said, it's a very big deal. So I felt like I needed better equipment very quickly if I wanted to work in the industry. But um, it was actually never the case. The people really liked my work, even though I didn't have the best equipment. So I think just the stress of getting better equipment and stuff was my thing that I struggled with. But I think nothing really other issues I ever I didn't have any other issues really in the photography. If I
We
can say
touched
it.
on gear. So gear is
Yeah, there
an
was
interesting
gear was the issue.
balance. So obviously gear matters. So it's a yes or no answer. Yeah. So if I was asked, does gear matter? It's a yes or no. So do you strictly need the most expensive things out there? Not necessarily. No. It's all about understanding what the equipment can give you, practically speaking, functionally speaking, and operating within those limitations. So you can give a great photographer quote unquote substandard gear and they can still create magic with it. But it's just an understanding of what you're doing. So if you're shooting outdoors, this is where the 8600 that you have, does come into full swing, in terms of overpowering the sunlight. But if you're shooting in a studio, you don't strictly need awesome, powerful lighting, because cameras do come into their own nowadays with low light capabilities. So it's just about an understanding of what style you want to create, where you're going, where you're shooting, and understanding the limitations of your gear and operating within them. And also it's just a case of if you do outgrow the current gear that you have, then you can upgrade. So don't upgrade for the sake of upgrading. There's a big difference between wanting something and needing something. There's that gear acquisition syndrome that we all have, wanting something and inevitably you just create a bit of a pile of unused gear. So it's just about an understanding of what you're using and what you need it for.
It's 100% that. And if you're a portrait photographer, you know all the all the tricks you need to know to get the portraits. If you're a wildlife photographer, you know all the ins and outs of wildlife photography. So I don't always think it's all about the gear.
Absolutely.
So if you're already in that industry, you already know what to do to be a good portrait or wildlife or fashion or whatever you're doing photographer.
Absolutely. All right, so let me just go through some comments here. We have a few going. So Gareth saying hello from Kings Williamtown. Thank you for joining. Wait. I have a cat. Sorry. Hello, cat.
Oh, we spoke about that earlier.
Sorry. Let me just quickly go through the comments here. You have projects. Hi from South Africa, Pretoria. So have people internationally joining in, which is great to see. Big
Yeah.
fan here, all the way from the UK. Ray Michelle, Drew Black. Also from Joburg, thank you for tuning in. Sean already made a comment. That was the camera brand one. Awesome work. Definitely going to follow. Yes, the links are provided. If you have just joined in, the links are provided in the descriptions and comment section. So do join our guest. So the link tree and the Instagram link are all provided. Sean again, Midjourney, epic choice. Sorry, I just don't want a cat to press a button here. Say hello to the world, Senua. This is Senua the cat.
Interesting name.
It's from a video game called, what's it called? Senua Sacrifice. Big on the video games. Christian de Beer, waving hello. Digital world photography. Javier from Northwest Province, Vryburg. I've got people all over the show. What is your opinion on wedding photography? Is it something that you dabbled in? Are you keen for it or not keen for it?
I've done a few. That's actually my best friend. It's their wedding in Ireland.
Hello, best friend.
It's they're getting married in August, so I know that's why he's asking. But I've done
sneaky question.
Yeah. Now I've done a couple of weddings, but in my line of work it's a full-time job. I don't have the time to do wedding photography. That people will never get their photos. It will take forever to edit all of those photos because, like I said, I'm not only a photographer. I'm actually a graphic designer. I work for a few companies, so I will never get to wedding photography. Even I don't. It's also for me very stressful to do it, but to get that right moment and not miss the right moment. But we have done it a few times. It's just too much work for me to take on as well.
Yeah, I've tried wedding photography myself, and my attention span is just way too short. Like I can perform, for a couple of hours and do all of these creative things and exercise my brain, but there's a cap off point at some time.
Yes.
So to be involved for 8 hours, 10 hours, that's something the wedding couple deserves whatsoever. Yeah. So. And also in terms of what you said with the editing as well, it's also very laborious going through the same images. Like my mind gets bored of things very quickly. So I need to go to different pockets, different things all the time.
Yes. Yeah, no, I understand that completely.
And you go, babe. I think this is your fiance. Proud fiance, Felicia. Thank you for joining. All right. So if you could play as one hero for the rest of your life, Anna or Rain, choose wisely. Overwatch.
Rain.
Okay, so we're a bit off topic here, but we can go into these conversations. Why not?
Nice.
Now, so wedding photography sounds a bit too stressful. You have to become a villain with people being in your way. Yeah, I think that's a good point, actually. It's like you need to antagonize people who are getting in the way and, getting in the frame and whatnot. And have some people who are good at it, some people who just prefer to avoid confrontation.
Yes.
The peaceful pacifist types. This is why it's good to have a combination of people. You have the aggressive person on the front row, shooing away everybody else, and you have the ninja in the background, hiding in the bushes, taking all of these candid shots.
Yes, completely.
And from Snack Lord, well done, Hendri. All right, so more questions from my end. So do you have a favorite project, a project that really stood out or stands out to you, a moment where you realized I've made it, this is a proud moment. I'm exactly where I belong. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Sure. I actually knew um, this when I started working with the celebrities. The thing is, for every creative or every graphic designer, you want to, like you said earlier, you want to stay creative. You want to work on different creative projects. You don't want to do the same thing every time. Um, I think I kind of knew is with that exact same photo of Joe Black with his daughter. Um, that was a test shot. It wasn't a planned shot or anything. That photo we took in an office. His daughter was busy waking up. That's why she pulled her face like that. She was sleeping in the car, and we did that photo for the pastor's daughter. She had an art project where she had to do the painting. You know, the contrast between the heavily tattooed parent and the clean daughter. You know, no tattoos. That innocence. So I didn't have any equipment. There was a spotlight on in the office, and I took that photo just to test the light. And what happened was everyone just freaked. When that photo got released, everyone freaked out about that photo. I woke up one morning and I've got, I think, it was over 20,000 mails. Board
wow.
Panda, that famous network, yeah, they took the photo from Pinterest and they put it in a competition thing where they, top 10 tattooed parents with their children, and I think out of the, if I can remember correctly, got ninth place or something like that. It was 80 photos, and then it got 10 out of 10. It got ninth place, but it went viral. Yeah, that photo went viral even up to until today. But with the new social media, last year, me and Joe recreated that photo with his daughter. I think it's on somewhere on a recent post, but I think social media blocked it. They said it's nudity, child nudity, so it blocked it. But it already got over 60,000 likes. So yeah, that photo even up until today. Even up until today, that photo still makes an impact on people.
Well done. So I think also on that topic, what keeps you motivated and inspired? So we have a great comment here from fiance Felicia, not only an amazing photographer and graphic designer, also a super dad. So what keeps you ticking in the industry?
What keeps me
What keeps you
ticking?
motivated? Now, if you ever experienced writer's block, or what we call in the industry lighter's block, like what gets you back on the path? Like what keeps you in the game?
Yeah, I used to. What I do is when I get annoyed, when I don't feel creative for anything, I go online, I search for new advanced photo manipulations or tutorials, or even on Instagram. I like the new Instagram. There's a lot of people sharing skills and everything. And then I'll just take like an hour or two, and if I don't have, if there's nobody home or I don't have anybody at that moment to pose for me, I sometimes take a self portrait and I work on that portrait and I try that new skills, and by the end I learn something new. I'm happy with the portrait. I've got a new photo that I use, and that usually works for me. When I try something new, especially with the photo manipulations, I would like to do more photo manipulations, try out more, but at the moment I am really fully busy with a lot of projects. So, and all of it is different projects. So I don't, suffer or struggle with creativeness anymore. Every project is different. Every project is a challenge. So I'm very happy with.
Very good advice, in terms of lack of creativity or lack of inspiration. It is imperative to keep your schedule full. Don't take an hiatus or take some time away thinking that you can find inspiration like it's a missing sock or missing keys. No, you need to stay busy. You need to keep your brain active. And as mentioned a while ago, it's all about second nature, part of your brain taking over. And you can only do that if you keep your brain fully exercised and fully busy.
Exactly.
So don't take time away. Maybe now then obviously have a holiday and whatnot, but during the busy periods, don't necessarily take time away thinking that inspiration is going to shine its light on you, hopefully at some point. No, you need to
No,
keep busy, you need to keep your schedule
yeah,
full.
no. And what I also like to do is I like to be challenged. If
That too.
yeah. So if they come to me and they say, "Listen, I've got this idea. Can you make it happen?" And then I'll usually say, "Yeah, I'll make it happen." And I like to challenge myself.
So do you find like specific people to help re-energize things? So if you see a particular person, oh, your face will work very well with this project, or your entire vibes will work very well with this project. So how actively do you window shop for models and people to shoot?
Uh, yeah, not anymore. I used to way back when I still was doing natural light photography, um, and I must be honest, I didn't get a lot of photography gigs that way back
Mhm.
because I was busy with my other companies, and I didn't pursue photography that much. But it was exactly like we said. Now my friends was my they she one of my best friends is Ray. She was also a photographer. She studied photography while I studied graphic design, and she was at my house almost every day. So if we wanted to do something creative, she would usually pose for me, or then I'd use her as a model. Or if we had a lot of friends that had interesting features like pink hair or stuff
Mhm.
like that, then we'll plan something around that. Or if I had an idea like I want cotton candy clouds in the air, I'd use her as a model, if it makes sense, because of the
Mhm.
pink hair. But now I can use anybody and I can do anything. I can turn black hair into pink hair or whatever. That's skills that I didn't
Wonderful, eh?
had way back.
Yeah, it's just a few clicks of a button and a few prompts now, eh?
Exactly.
Right. So you mentioned Instagram. I see you have
Mm,
quite a big following, close to 8,000. So in
mm.
terms of advertising yourself, getting your name out there, how big are you on social media? And if so, what tips can you provide for people out there?
Yes, I don't think I'm as big as the other photographers I've seen on social media, but I haven't really done any marketing on my end at all. And I know a lot of the tricks because I work in that industry. Like I help other pages grow and
Hmm.
stuff like that. But I haven't used it on my own page because I am busy. I don't need that advertising at the moment. But I must also say the celebrities, when they share the work and stuff like that, my reach is insane.
Hmm.
It doesn't necessarily mean that people follow me, but my stats is
Yeah, yeah.
usually 20 plus, 20K plus, with just one share. So yeah, that's definitely a lot of eyes and stuff like that I'm getting, not only from social media, but I mean the Kuleskis the record label that I work with.
Hmm.
They're amazing. They credit me in everything. They give me exposure, everything, like TV shows and interviews and stuff like that. So I get a lot of exposure from them, especially. Um, so yeah, with social media, I know TikTok is a big one. I'm
Hmm.
not. I'm guilty. I'm not very active on TikTok.
So you're
I
not
will.
doing dances for us yet.
No, not yet. This is actually the first live interview. I must start because I've promised a lot of people that I would do um, tutorials and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I have to start doing that stuff. I would love to, give a bit of my skills.
Hmm.
Uh, it's, the same as the people doing now on Instagram. I actually find very much value in that than just posting photos and stuff like that. I really enjoy
Absolutely.
Instagram now. The people aren't scared to give away their skills and tricks and stuff like that.
All right. So I want to, on topic here, I want to talk
Mm.
about past you and future you. So if you could go back in time, if you had a little time machine, what advice would you give yourself, like a younger photographer, you? Yeah, if anything, would you tell yourself to do something different? Do you regret anything that you did previously in the industry, or are you happy with how things flourished?
I think I'm happy. I don't think I've, you know, uh, how I've approached photography way back is almost the same, just on a more higher level now. It's for me, it's almost the same as I said earlier. I always challenge myself. I always try to be better. So, and I've been that way ever since I left college. So now it's just on higher ranks. Better skills. I just want to do better, 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 and I've been like that always. So nothing different. Nothing. Um, I think there's nothing I can do more than I'm doing at the moment.
All
Just
right, so
maybe
future
I
you.
think,
Yes,
yeah,
go
the
ahead.
future. The future. I think if there's one thing, I would focus more on the poses, helping people with the poses. Focus on different poses and stuff like that. I think that's my weakest element, if I can call it that.
There's always room for growth and development, and it's a good
Indeed.
attitude to have. So also not regretting things. Like even if you make mistakes in the past, like it's part of the journey, it's part of the puzzle. You can't
Yes.
necessarily regret or lament things that were done in the past. As I've spoken to many photographers, and they always use their, choices in the past, different occupations, different routes they may have taken. It all has blended, morphed into their pathway
Yes.
forward, especially pertaining to photography. I've spoken to professional poker players who are using those skills in their portrait
Mm.
work, learning body
Yes, exactly.
language and stuff like that. So it's all part of the bigger picture. So even if you think you're not moving forward exactly how things need to be done, don't regret it. Just continue moving forward. It all form part of a bigger picture. Absolutely.
I completely agree.
All right. So I have one last question to ask you, but we can give
Awesome.
our audience an opportunity to ask some questions as well. So here is your opportunity. So if you're watching out there in Facebook, YouTube land, get typing. But the question I'm going to leave you with, my last question,
Hmm?
it's always the last question I ask. What advice would you give aspiring photographers out there? So newcomers in the industry, what wisdom would you bestow upon them?
Um, I feel like if you feel like you want to, be a photographer or be a creative, you shouldn't doubt it. Uh, Nobody should ever tell you there's no career in it, that you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't. You must maybe have a backup or whatever. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
in any career or any talent you have, if you feel like doing it, you should do it, and you should use your full potential, or your all your energy doing it. If you enjoyed what you're doing, you will be seen. People will see you, and you will make a life out of it. I feel that's 100%. I mean, I knew what I wanted to do since school, and everybody told me there's no career in it. You will never make enough money. You will never
Mm-hmm.
make a living. And I can say with 100% here, where I'm sitting today, I'm enjoying every moment of it. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of sleepless
Mm-hmm.
nights. It's a lot of balancing. I struggle with it, but I enjoy every moment of it. I feel I'm completely 100% where I should be, and I never listened to anyone who's told me there's no career in it. So yeah,
Very, very good
I would say
advice. Thank
pursue
you so
it. Go
much.
for it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, before I say my goodbyes, we have 2 or 3 questions here to tackle. So, from best friends, Skedaddle, what's your most challenging photo you've ever taken and why?
Wow, most challenging photo. I think it was actually one. If I think about it, it was one photo manipulation for a liquor company where they wanted me as an influencer to you know I must I should I must it was strawberry liqueur, if I can remember correctly, and they wanted me to sit between strawberries next to the liqueur, very small, tiny me. And I struggled to get the angles and lighting correctly for that shot. But that's on top of my mind.
Is it on Instagram? Maybe I'm trying to find
I
it.
think it is there somewhere, yes.
All right. So as I
But
look
it's
for
way
that
back.
particular, way back. Okay. Scroll, 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 scroll. Okay. As I scroll, let's tackle the second question. How would you describe your style, and what is in your kit that makes that distinct style possible?
Sure, my style. That's a very difficult question, and I know she put me on the spot here. That's my best friend that I told you about that I always use as a model. She studied photography as well.
No, she's getting you back now.
Yeah, it's getting me back. She's getting me back now. No, I don't think I've got a particular style, but I like, moody photos, cinematic moody photos, if possible. I'm struggling still with the cinematic feel around it, but moody, if possible, it's my favorite.
All right, and I think I found a photo.
Yeah, that
This
was a
one.
difficult. Yeah.
All right, so your most challenging shoot, making yourself a 2-inch person next to a bottle.
Yeah. You
I
see,
can remember
but
doing stuff like this as well. It was a kind of rite of passage. The
and
tiny
that's all,
version in a small world.
and all natural light, so it's a bit tricky.
Okay, well done. So let's get that out of the way. Oops, wrong person. Sorry. One day I'll have a production team behind me clicking all of these buttons for me. And I'm using the trackpad, so it makes it especially difficult. All right,
Yeah.
got it sorted. All right, Hendri, thank you so much for joining us tonight and providing us with all of this wonderful insight and wisdom. It was a fun time chatting to you. Thank you for everything that you're doing in the industry. May it go from strength to strength. To everybody watching out there, do follow our guest. Links are provided in the comment section and description. So I don't know if you have any shout outs, maybe people that you want to thank for your journey.
Thank you to everyone that watched, all my friends, my fiance. You are the best. Thank you for all the love and support. It means the world.
Thank you so much. So I think on that note, also the cat.
Yeah.
Goodbye as well. So I think
you.
on that note, we're going to say our good nights. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. And we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Cheerios from our end. Conrad on behalf of CameraStuff. And Hendri, thank you so much for joining. See you next time.
Thank you.
Cat pushing over the bottles. Cheers.